Hey guys, for those that have HPA tanks that you want to fill up, at least the small ones, a little freaked out with the carbon getting scratched up if it, falls off something. I'm also not a big fan of it just wobbling on the floor as I refill it. So I'm going to build a cradle for it. And so I'm going to, since this is such a small thing, I got some water boiling because you can buy polymorph. That's how it's listed. I got mine off AliExpress. They look like little grains of rice, and sadly, they probably, maybe in India, people eat them thinking they are rice. But anyways, polymorph is plastic that you can heat up and mold it how you like it, and once it cools off, it's a very hard plastic. Look at this. This piece, it's very strong. I've used this to make bike stands, wider kickstands, feet on my my bicycle kickstand. Not a motorcycle one. It's not that strong. Anyways, it comes in white, or actually, it comes in clear. But once you melt it, it turns white. It might come in different colors nowadays. But I bought white ones, and I just pigmented it with some pigment powder that they usually sell. So I also have this little tiny microwave popcorn cup because it's silicone, and this plastic wants to stick to stuff. Like if you put it into a metal or a metal pot, it's going to stick to that metal pot. But nothing wants to stick to silicone, so we'll just throw that in here and that boiling water. Alright, we're going to let that sit for a few minutes. In fact, I probably need more, so I'll just throw another wafer in there. Stuff's pretty cheap. I think a kilogram, well, no, I'm not going to quote a price out because I bought this a few years ago. So as far as cooling it off, you can put it in the freezer, the refrigerator. But me, I have some ice cubes and some water. So once I have molded onto this half of a tank, I'm going to just dip it in water, and cool it off quickly. And so the stuff can bond to itself afterwards as well, but it's strongest if you mold it all as one piece. If I took this and added more, it will stick, but it will delaminate also. So you want to try to get the piece that you're making to be one heat process and then form it. But it takes a few minutes for it to cool down. It has a pretty high heat capacity, it seems, but it doesn't actually burn your hands as long as your hands are wet. So you can see now it's actually getting soft already. You can see it's kind of sticking to that silicone. But once, if this is cold, it will definitely flake off the silicone. I'll show you, when I'm done. So now this water is still boiling. Once it's all soft, I pour the water out, and then I wet my hands with cool water, and then I start working with it. But this disc of plastic is so thick, it still has a ways to go. Yeah, it's still hard in the middle. So I naturally don't want to go past the center line because then it'll be trapped. Or maybe I guess you could go a little bit past it and then it'll actually literally grip it, But I just want it to rest on my compressor so it doesn't roll around. You'll see. At first I was thinking about cradling the thing, but my compressor has a handle here, so I only need to actually build two pieces to trap it against the handle. So that's why I got the masking tape there, and I twisted it a little bit. Yeah, it took a good 10 minutes. I actually ended up dumping the water out, adding more boiling water, because that's a lot of plastic in there. So anyways, it's pretty gooey now. Looks like venom. I'm going to dump this water out. And since I have the cold water anyways, I'll just dip my hands in some cold water and grab a chunk of this. So it's quite cheesy right now. But as long as you wet your hands beforehand, this isn't burning my hand or anything like that. It's just like it's warm dough. That's what it reminds me of. Alright, so anyways, just gotta jam this up in here. So my intention is, after this cools off and I remove it, I'm just gonna use double-sided tape to stick the plastic onto this housing, so I can always remove it if I need to. think that's as far as we need to go there. But I do want to get a good amount of surface area for the double-sided tape to stick to. So I'm going to drag this down a little bit. So that's good for that piece. In fact, I probably want to bridge the gap. I might have to heat up some more plastic. Yeah, so you can see it's sticking to the silicone right now. But once it gets cold, it will come off quite easily. Alright, so I need to get more over here. Oh, another thing, since this is an overhang, I can actually get some plastic around that overhang, and that'll help mechanically trap the plastic as well. I definitely need some more plastic. Yeah. So you're going to see, I'm going to laminate it. It's not going to be as strong, but these two chunks are definitely strong, so I'm not too concerned about it. You can see the plastic is still workable. It's been a few minutes now, but I can still get some more out of here. So I'm going to get a little bit around this lip here of metal. Maybe raise that up over there. You can also sand this stuff down. It's kind of like a nylon plastic. It's as far as like cutting it and sanding it, so it's not going to sand like a hard plastic. It's not like ABS or acrylic. It's more like a polypropylene or a PET or something like that. Alright, let me come back after I heat up some more plastic. Alright, I decided to add a little here so it would actually cup the thing, because it might vibrate off the thing. But I'll just show you this plastic's cooled off in the silicone cup here, so it's you can just take the whole thing out. Well, it's gonna take some work, but yeah, hopefully you can see it's not actually sticking to the silicone. Alright, so it's, I don't know, I just left it for an hour. It's perfectly cool to the touch now. I didn't actually put any masking tape, so let's find out if this stuff sticks to the smoothness of this carbon fiber. I don't think it will because it's so smooth. A lot of suction, I think. All right. Yeah, it didn't stick to the carbon, it's just sticking to the masking tape. Oh, that's really stuck. Okay. So, let's see, I have a little lip here, and so my intention is a little double-sided tape, and then some tape here, and this lip. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. So that's going to sit there. This little, the hose here. Yeah, that's gonna work great once I have it taped down. Yeah, definitely have to tape it down, Or I guess I may may even add, maybe if I extend this black plastic around and hook around this thing. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Then it'll have a mechanical fastener, because if that tape ever works loose, the tank's gonna hit the ground, and actually the gauge might hit the ground. It's because this sorry, this alloy filter is so heavy, and also this hose. All right, some more plastic has been added. I just had to come out all the way to here, to the end of the carbon. I also realized that I initially put it right up against this piece of metal, but when this thing turns on, it's going to vibrate like crazy and start scratching the carbon fiber. So I repositioned, I put a shim of acrylic in here, and then I put the plastic here. So once I remove this acrylic, you know, this tank can't hit the piece of metal because there's that much gap now. And then I have a little piece here, you know, capturing this, and it's connected to this side here. So let's see if it comes off and how it ends up looking. There is two easier ways, two easier ways I can think of doing this, by the way. The first way would be to just take a piece of plastic or metal and bolt a wall right here. You know, we're using these two bolts. You can bolt a wall. And as long as you have some sort of weather stripping or some kind of foam tape, it should hopefully keep the thing from rattling around too much. Another idea I thought of is just to take a big PVC or poster tube and zip tie it to the handle, and then you slide the tube, you know, the tank into the tube. And then if you had some foam inside the lip of it, it should hopefully keep the thing from vibrating out of the tube. So those are a couple ideas for you. The reason why I kind of want to do this is A, I have the plastic anyways, but B, I can still grab the handle and move this thing around. If you had a big PVC tube, you'd have to somehow cut out, you know, part of the tube so you can still grab the handle, a little bit, you know, if you grab it from this side, right? The wall thing, it wouldn't be an issue at all, although it might scrape your forearm or something like that. All right, so let me just finish this off here. So because I have a mechanical capture here, this might be stuck quite a bit. No, it's coming. There we go. There we go. All right, so yeah. So now with some double-sided tape, I can just stick this on, and I don't think it will fall down, but I guess we'll find out once I remove this tape and put it back on, because there is a tiny gap now because the tape was there, but hopefully it'll come when I put double-sided tape on. That gap should hopefully go away. So you definitely need a lot of masking tape for this if you don't want to mess up the paint job here. So here's the little ledge or hook that goes underneath the handle. So I think I have to kind of get that in there. Then, well, I have to catch this lip here in the front. Oh, that actually, no. Oh, I see. The handle is curved on the bottom, so you can see that curvature here. This lip is kind of snagging. But you could use scissors, you could use a hot knife, you know, cut that stuff off. Yeah, that did the job. All right, let's see now how that carbon tank sits. Alright, well there's definitely a gap now between the condenser there, but you know it still wants to come off. Well, it's not pretty to look at, but it does work. It turns out it's just too flimsy without having the middle section, you know, just having a perimeter. But once I added the middle section, it's much more rigid. And you only really need to have this part under the handle, so I got rid of this so I could get all 4 fingers under there. So what I do is I hook it in like this. There you go. And I decided to cup the rear end So there's absolutely no way that can come out, right? So even with even with the weight of this heavy excuse me, air pollution aluminum thing and the hose, I'm pretty sure that's not going to ever fall and hit the ground and ruin my gauges, or chip the carbon fiber, which is what I'm really worried about. Okay, guys, well, obviously this takes a lot of time. If you want to do it like this, you can obviously try the other methods I mentioned, go with a wall or a PVC pipe or something like that. It'll be a lot quicker. But again, the reason why I want to do this is I can just go like this and lift the thing up and move it around as needed. Alright, so the oil pressure, the manual gauge, showed up in the mail, so it's oil filled. It's the one that comes on this, the lower grade version, supposedly, because... Alright, let's see how this thing works out. I'm gonna hold this big... I don't think this big nut goes anywhere, it's just replacing this. Oh, well, naturally I gotta disconnect this uncalibrated digital sensor. Oh, that was actually quite easy. The dealer recommended I use Teflon tape to put this new gauge in, so I have that ready to go. Yeah, so it's unfortunate. I mean, I think this thing probably works, it's just not calibrated. I also see one of those PTFE washers in there, so this probably doesn't even need the Teflon tape if there's a washer there, because the bottom of that could be smooth, but maybe it's for tension. So I want to wind this tape in a certain fashion. If I'm going clockwise like this, I think I'll put it on this way. And then that, you don't want to have any getting on this surface, because that washer has to, press up against it. If you get any tape on there, hey, it might block up break off and block up the gauge, I'm thinking. Let's see how much that works. Okay. Oh boy, this release valve is in the way. So that's probably all it needs, because it's pressing up against that washer. I don't think air's going to leak out. But this is a really tight fit, by the way, this gauge with this release valve here. So coincidentally, the gauge will stop at 3,000, a little bit past the line of the hose. So that's nice. So I'm reading it upside down, but really the gauge will hopefully come around the hose, and that's where you really gotta pay attention. 4,000 is way over here, but I'm gonna fill it around 3,000, a little over 3,000, I think. All right, so my current tank here is at 1,000 psi, and let's see how long it takes. Gates are open. Yeah, all right, on. squeeze in that cylinder head. The sensor's glued in place now, so I'm just using room temperature water over here. I guess that's good enough. So it did reach the high 50s, but it didn't go beyond 60. But this is a really small tank, you know, it's a 0.5 liter. So it was around 3,200, I would say, if I had to guess on this meter. And so my tank is reading above 3,000. It's, you know, it's a small gauge, but let's take a look here. Yeah, maybe that's like 3,200. So both of these gauges seem to be close to each other. I would assume that they're accurate. You saw me add this tape here because, well, there's no reason to set the pressure anymore if the digital sensor doesn't work. I'm just always going to be looking at this and the gauge on my tank, and then the temperature thing. So this is pretty much the one you should buy, I think. You know, forget this digital thing, because again, if you hit that little reset thing, it's not going to work. And if it only has a 3-month warranty in the first place, you might become too reliant on this, and then you know, rupture a tank or something, or destroy your piston. I'm always forgetting something. So, naturally, if you don't want to go through this whole plastic thing, I just took an old vitamin bottle and zip tied it to this screen here, and that works pretty well to hold this little blue thing. You know, it's deep enough. So any sort of old bottle, you might want to just zip tie it to this screen. And since it's a bottle, I don't think it's blocking too much of the airflow. I think most of the heat is being sucked out through the water pump anyways. You'll see it's only been a little bit. It's already down to 40 C. It's dropped its temp quite a bit. So this water pump is moving a lot of fluid. It's doing its job. Okay then, well, hopefully you learned from my mistakes, and you can easily modify, you know, this one with just this. I don't think you really even, well, the Teflon tape is questionable. I put some on, but it wasn't that tight. It's that washer inside of there that's doing its job if you squeeze it on tight. Thanks for watching. See you guys. Bye.